This is the church known as Dominus Flavius, and it's where Jesus wept when he looked down over Jerusalem because he knew what was going to happen and what was coming. This is the name of the church, is Dominus Flavius. And again, it's where Jesus wept when he looked out over Jerusalem because he saw the destruction that was going to be happening.
Over there, with a black roof, black dome. Okay? And this area down here is called the City of David, which is the very, very beginning, the oldest part of Jerusalem.
Where is
City of David.
Yes, but
Church called Dominus Flavius, where we're going to have our master.
the hustle of praise, be exalted, O Lord our God. Hosanna in the highest. Glory, glory, glory is the King.
Around here, if you look this way, exactly opposite the Temple Mount. The Dome of the Rock sits exactly over the same place where the temple. So what Jesus saw was not the Dome of the Rock, he saw the Jewish temple.
Second temple.
The second temple. And he had this vision, he actually saw this temple in destruction. He visualized the destruction of the temple, which happened about 35 years later in the year 70. When he saw it, he started to cry. That's what they call it. That's when the Lord cried over Jerusalem and over the temple. Okay? So that's why later on in the early 30s, last century, the Franciscan built here this church. Berluzzi is the architect. In the four corner, this thing that looked like jars symbolized teardrops. Okay, that's the meaning. Down here you see the Jewish cemetery. Some of the stones have names on them. Some of the graves have no stone on top. But the stones were taken by the Jordanians when the Jordanians were even before 67. They did all kind of stuff with the stones. And slowly, we are now putting back the tombstones with the names. Over there you can see some of the part of the cemetery already reconstructed. This is the way we found it when we came in 67, right here. From here we go down to see the golden onions, we call them. That's a Russian church, it's a Russian architecture. Okay, over here. And that's called the Church of Mary Magdalene. Also known as the Russian Church of Gethsemane, because Gethsemane is nearby this area. Right now, we are going down to the Church of Gethsemane. Church of Gethsemane, you cannot actually sit there and meditate. There are millions of people going in and out, in and out. The only thing we can do is we go in, we'll see the olive trees. There are 8 very old olive trees in the garden. This is called the Garden of Gethsemane. Gethsemane means olive press. That's the Hebrew word for the olive press. Gethsemane, or Hebrew, Gat Shmanim. Gat Shmanim, Gethsemane, that's the Hebrew word for olive press. So there was an olive press. And Jesus, he started this evening where we see this tower and the church next to it. This is Mount Zion. That's where the Last Supper took place. From that, there are 2 buildings. There is a tower, and then on the right side, cornice-shaped roof, black. That's the Dormition Abbey. Okay? That's where the Last Supper took place. From there, Jesus walked down through the Kidron Valley, which is the valley down here. He walked up the valley a little bit, and he came to this place called the Garden of Gethsemane. He prayed there, and he was betrayed by Judah, and he was taken from here by Caiaphas' people to the house of Caiaphas, which we're going to be later on. visited, that's the building with the black dome over there. That's the house of Caiaphas. So from Mount Zion, went down here, went to the Garden of Gethsemane. Prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane with a great agony. Then he was taken from there to the house of Caiaphas. The house of Caiaphas, he was interrogated and he was kept in a prison or dungeon for the rest of the night. That's the place where St. Peter was sitting with other people outside the building around the fire, and he denied Jesus 3 times till the cock in the morning. That's why this place is called St. Peter in Gallicantu, the place of St. Peter denied Jesus in the house of Caiaphas. The next morning, Caiaphas takes Jesus across the city. On the other side of the Temple Mount, there was a street called the Street of the Valley. He's taking him to the northwest corner of the Temple Mount. There is another minaret, a tower, and a big building that's a school today. On the right side, Maria School, right. And there is a big minaret mosque. Okay? This school and the minaret standing over what used to be the Roman prison or the Roman police station. This is where the trial took place. That's where some Pontius Pilate took Jesus, and in the paved courtyard called the Lithoscrates, he sentenced Jesus to death. From there, Jesus took the cross on his back and he walked all the way to just right from the dome, the Golden Dome now, right from the Golden Dome you see the gray dome. This is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre we have the Golgotha, which is died on the cross, and the tomb of Jesus. Both places inside this building. Okay? Again, Last Supper on Mount Zion. Garden of Gethsemane down here. Down we'll be there. We will be there. It's near these 2 buildings.
Near the
The
Dominican.
tower, the Domitian, and the tower. First of all, you have to remember that at the time of the Second Temple, Jesus, till actually the year 70, the time of Jesus, this place was inside the city. It was inside the wall. Today, This is outside the wall. Why? Because the city, the wall of the city from the Turkish time is a lot smaller than what the city was. So this was all inside the city. Actually, the wall of the city went along the Kidron Valley all the way down, and then along Mount Zion and the Hinnom Valley. So where the Hinnom Valley and the Kidron Valley merge, that's where the wall was. So we are now inside the city, not outside. Because the house of Caiaphas was inside. Mount Zion was inside the city. It was all within the wall. So this area was the area, the quarter of the more like the aristocrats, rich people, the priests, things like that. From here down was the area where poor people live, or poor, ordinary people, middle, lower class. The upper class lived from here up, where today we have the Jewish quarter and the Armenian quarter. So we are definitely in the area where the upper class used to live, and the high priest was in the upper class. Now, those days, almost every house had a water system and storage for food under the ground. What you see here, this is a water system. You see it all the way down. Okay? They collect rainwater from the roof, from the street, down there, and then they would take water, draw water with buckets and ropes. Okay? Later on, whoever did it, they changed the water system into a dungeon to keep prisoners. And that's where they kept Jesus, down there in the water system at the bottom. And we are going to see it now.
תגידי, החוצפה נטו כולה. רק זבל ימני. זה ימני. תקל אנשים לא לעלות, יהודים, ימניה. זבל. אתה אומר להם אבל באמצע השני? שרמוטה.
It was built during the Crusader time. This is a typical, what they call cloister or a courtyard, and all the buildings here were built by the Crusaders, and later on added, few things added and repaired by the Ottomans. The tomb of David, we don't know from when this tomb of David became the tomb of David. Could be from the Crusader time, maybe from the Ottoman time, we are not sure. This is definitely not the right place. Because in the Bible it says when David died, he was buried in the city of David. The city of David was not here. The city of David is further down. It's the hills that come down from the Temple Mount. Okay? This is the city of David. At the time of David, this part was not in the city. It was outside the city. Outside the walls, it was not part of the city. Probably the name Mount Zion shifted from over there to here. We don't know when, okay? But anyway, it says that he was buried in the city of David, which was also Mount Zion. Somehow they decided that this is the place. The tomb is probably a tomb from the Turkish time, maybe a little bit before that, maybe from Crusader time, we don't know. There's a tomb here of somebody, maybe an Arab, maybe some sheikh or something. And somebody came with the idea and said, okay, this is the tomb of David. Because we needed a place for the tomb of David. Place where people can come and pray. If you want to go to a place like that, because David was a man of God. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, they were Elijah. In the Bible they called them men of God. What do you mean a man of God? Okay? He was not the Messiah, but he had close relationship with God. God spoke with those guys. So when you want God to listen, okay, to your prayers, what do? You need somebody who has better connection. It's not what you know, it's
Who you know.
So you have to have the right man to speak to God. So you go to David. If we would have the tomb of Elijah, we would go to Elijah. If we would know where the tomb of Moses, we would go to the tomb of Moses. We have the tomb of Samuel. They have the tomb of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. People go to those places. And they say, please David, or please Abraham, you're the man of God, you have a good relationship. I need your help. Somebody is sick in the family. Okay? I need some favor from you. Please speak to God for me. So actually, this is the middleman. You go through the tomb, go up to heaven, go to God. You speak to God through the tomb. So it doesn't matter if you go to this one, or to Hebron, or the tomb of Samuel, or any of these holy tombs. The only difference is that this tomb was the only tomb of this kind that was in Israel before 1967. Before 67, the tomb of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in Hebron was in Jordan. Samuel was in Jordan. Moses in Jordan. We don't know where the tomb of Moses, by the way. David was the only tomb that was in the Israeli side. So a lot of people used to come here to the tomb of David, okay, to visit. Since 67, most people, first of all, go to the Wailing Wall. It's the nearest place to the Temple Mount. Then people go to the tomb of Machpelah in Hebron. Okay? And then they go to the tomb of Samuel and other tombs. When you go in, you don't see much. There are two rooms. One side for women, one side for men. When you walk in, the first one to the men, you just go to the other side for the women. What do you see? There is a stone covered with some kind of a cloth. And people go there, touch it, kiss it, whatever, say a prayer, okay, and go out. You don't have to say a prayer. You can touch it, you can take a picture, okay? So we go in, women to the women's side, men to the men's side. When you go in, men, you must put something on your head. You have a yarmulke here. You have a yarmulke at the entrance. She was taken from here. Maybe she was put in a grave somewhere. Then someone said that she was taken up to heaven. Some people say that she went to Patmos with John, the beloved follower of Jesus. Maybe she went to Ephesus. They show the tomb of Mary in Ephesus. Okay, I'm giving you all the options. So, according to the Benedictines, she fell asleep, and we go downstairs and see not a tomb. It looks like a tomb and a statue of a woman, a sleeping woman. That's where Mary fell asleep. Okay, Benedictines. This church, the property was purchased by the Germans. It was given to the Germans by the Ottomans. The Kaiser Wilhelm II, the king of Kaiser Germany, came in 1898. The relationship between Germany and Turkey were very good. As you know, they also fought together in World War I. And they gave them this piece of property in 1909, and then they started to build a church. Okay, so this church is from the beginning of the last century, during the 20th century. Okay, so the place of the sleep, dormitory, place to sleep, place of the sleep. That's the main sanctuary, and they have, it's a very nice floor. In the center we have the Holy Trinity. Holy Trinity lead to the prophets, what we call the 12 prophets in the Bible, the Old Testament. And then we have the different signs of the different Gospels. Then we have the names of the 12 disciples. And we have the zodiac, which, you know what zodiac is?
Yes.
The different symbols of the different 12 months of the year. So we have the zodiac, which symbolizes actually the whole year, universe. Okay, 12 months of the year. So Holy Trinity is the center. From the Holy Trinity starts everything. Okay, God, Father, and Son, and Holy Spirit, from there we go. And this wisdom goes through the prophets, okay, to the rest of the world. So it's a beautiful recital. There's a beautiful organ here, and they give concerts. It's like acoustics here, it's great. And they give a lot of concerts in this church. Okay? So it's a Benedictine church. Here we have altars, and also downstairs we have altars. All these altars donated by different countries. as usually have the name of the company they donate the money. And downstairs we have this the statue of Mary sleeping, and she's sleeping under the dome. If you go down there and you look at the dome above the place where she sleeps, you'll see Messiah describe very important women in the Bible.